Welcome to another episode of Trees and Lines. We're here. Almost got it wrong. We're at Trees and Utilities Conference.
Right. You would think after 70 plus episodes, you'd get this one right.
You think I'd get it, but hey, what can I say? Welcome. We have Robert Kabera with us from Sheltera.
Yep.
And Robert, tell us a little bit about yourself and about Sheltera.
Absolutely. So my name is Robert Kabera. I am the founder and chief executive officer of Sheltera. It's a company that uses satellite imagery to help utilities be able to monitor the right-of-way. But more than that, we allow them to be able to price the job, to schedule it, to connect with contractors, and to monitor their work. So we bundle the entire VM process in a one-click app that's 100% offline. That's what we do. A bit about me: I have an accent. Probably like my friend Tej here, but he probably is more smoother than I am.
I don't know about that.
But I'm originally from Rwanda, small country in East Africa. So if you ever go to the zoo and you see gorillas, they are from my parents' village.
Oh.
And so I lived through the 1994 Rwanda genocide, spent 6 years in refugee camps, ended up in the U.S. in 2000, went to college at Stanford, and have been a serial entrepreneur or the other for the last 12 years. So that's a bit about me.
First of all, amazing story. Very curious as to this is a very specific space that you're finding yourself in. Were you more, hey, I'm in technology and I somehow serendipitously connected into this space? What brought you into this particular space, this vertical, and concentrating on UVM?
So I am fascinated by power lines and electricity because my first 12 years of life, I didn't have access to electricity. And so my journey to this point started very specifically in 1998 when I was living in a refugee camp in Botswana. So I'm in the camp, and when you're a foreigner, kids make fun of you. I'm like 10 years old and they're making fun of me outside of the camp. You're different. You talk different, you're not from here. And I realized that as long as I did better than the other kids in the classroom, I had respect. And so I became really good at, studying. But when you don't have access to electricity and you're trying to study at night, your only option is the moon or a kerosene lamp. So one day, 1998, I have a science exam tomorrow. I'm sitting outside on a log, reading a science book on a kerosene lamp. And in the desert, Botswana is a desert, the wind keeps blowing out the kerosene lamp. And I'm disappointed because I'm like, hey, I got to learn this so I can ace the test tomorrow and get back to my tormentors. And something happened. The wind blew so much that the kerosene lamp blew out. And out of frustration, I stop, I look up in the sky, I see an airplane passing by. And I ask myself two questions. One, why can't we get that same light that airplane has down here for everybody? And number two, once we have that light, how do we keep it on so it doesn't go out like this stupid kerosene lamp when we need it the most? Answer to question number one, I studied energy resources engineering at Stanford to learn about the grid. Answer to question number two is my work today. My graduate studies was what causes interruptions to the grid. It's mostly natural disasters or as much as 92% VM. And so my goal was to solve that frustration I had in the camp in 1998 for the rest of society. So when the lights are on, they stay on. And the only way to do that is to take care of the right-of-way.
Wow. That's amazing.
So your graduate work was in how trees cause outages, or?
It was in predicting blackouts on the grid. And at first, we focused on extreme weather events, hurricanes, thunderstorms, snow and ice. But later on, we discovered that trees was a much, much bigger problem than extreme weather events. And so around 2020, we started a venture around this space.
So let's talk a little bit about fast forward to today, right? Your company, your organization, maybe paint a picture for us in terms of its size. How are you capitalized? How are you sort of commercially surviving, in this sector? How are you performing? Give us a little bit of a market color about you guys.
I want to add to that too, because in us talking earlier, you were explaining to me your big focus is like right now, it sounds like it's on like the smaller REAs that. And why did you decide on that? Is the market your market focus? Were they being underserved, or what? How did you come about targeting those smaller rural REA associations? So.
Yes, absolutely. Our current focus as a company is on rural electric cooperatives for several reasons. Number one, they have the greatest needs and they have the biggest pain points. They don't have the same budget, the same manpower that an IOU has. And so impact is immediate, right? And that translates to early successes for a venture. It translates to proactive customers. It translates to faster sales cycles. And being from the continent, I'm very interested in doing work, but work with outsized impact. And that is very, very present in the rural electric co-ops. And yes, a lot of them think that formally, the cost of satellite imagery LiDAR was prohibitive. But now we're undergoing an insane revolution in that space. What's that revolution? In 1968, Gordon Moore discovered Moore's law. Every 18 months, the memory chip capacity doubles and the price goes down in half. The same thing is happening with satellite imagery. Every 3 years, the resolution goes up by 3x, the price comes down by 3x. Now every rural co-op can afford it. All they need is the AI, a booster to run with, and that's what we offer. And so that's the market. About where Sheltera is, we're a team of 30 people, about half engineers, handpicked. I call them our Spartans. I went to school with Stanford guys that are amazing, built billion-dollar companies. These guys, ordinary guys, no Ivy League, worth 100 Stanford engineers, right? We have a rule called sink or swim. You develop a product and ship it at the same rate you get paid. You get paid every 4 weeks, you ship a product every 4 weeks. And we do that, which is why we've been able to build a 100% offline end-to-end VM product in 6 months. And because a lot of rural co-ops do not have internet. How are we capitalized? We're 100% revenue driven. Coming from the Silicon Valley, it's all about raising. And you end up sort of derailing because you have 100 people telling you what to do. What I learned is I have an advisor who's invested in 20 companies. 5 of them are unicorns. And the first time those guys raised, one of them is a cybersecurity company. It's making $270 million a year at 82% profit margin. The first time that guy raised money was $50 million a year. Those guys told me, Robert, if you want to succeed, you got to grow with customer money. And that's what Sheltera is trying to do. As much as possible, let the market pay for it. And that's how you're able to really achieve, in my opinion, the one thing that matters in a venture, that profit margin.
That is amazing. That is really, really amazing and very refreshing, right? Because,
Thank you.
Having spent some time in that world and the whole raise culture versus, prove it out, generate it, create a platform, create a foundation, something that can be built on is great. I'm a fan of that. It's really amazing to watch you do that. That's fantastic.
Robert and I were talking earlier, and I shared with him that I've been to Africa twice now. Once with USEA, which was the U.S. Energy Association that was helping Botswana develop their energy infrastructure.
Yeah.
And I went on to go back to do a wildlife safari while I was there on those trips. And Robert said he just got, like, you've gone full circle. He's come from a refugee camp, came to the States, got educated, started your company, and now he just took his family back to Uganda on a wildlife safari.
Yeah. So I have an 8-month-old daughter, and my wife is American. They had never been to the continent, so we did a 21-day safari trip. We drove 1,500 kilometers. So 3 game parks, 2 waterfalls, and we saw the big 5. We saw giraffes, elephants, and the most magnificent thing was being able to go on a night game drive. That's when you go at night in a car. We left the hotel at like 10 p.m., drove for 2 hours in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden we come across a fresh kill, a pack of 4 lions. There is nothing more magnificent than a pack of fresh lions eating a fresh kill on the backdrop of a silent night silence. I mean, that makes you feel so small, so tiny, so powerful, so amazing. So huge fan of nature and what nature provides.
It is fascinating. It's just the origin of your story, how you got to where you are, the motivation behind what you're doing, the impact that you're having. Congratulations. We wish you continued success. We'd love to kind of continue to follow your story and check in and get some updates from time to time, and maybe have you come back and do another podcast with us and keep us posted on what you're up to.
Certainly an inspiring story.
Inspiring beyond belief.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's not forget, you guys are the real heroes. Let me tell you why.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
There is a professor, Israeli professor. He wrote the book Homo Sapiens.
Yeah.
He studied the history of humanity for 10,000 years, and he wanted to see what is the most important tool that has been invented to advance humanity. So he studied fire, the caveman. He studied science, he studied technology, he studied weaponry. And guess what the most powerful tool we have to be able to advance our civilization? Storytelling. You guys are doing. So you guys don't ever forget, you're the real rock stars.
I appreciate that. Look, we obviously, what we're doing, I would say, pales in comparison to what your entire story. But, we care about this industry. I've been very fortunate enough to call both of these guys colleagues and friends, and they represent a lineage in this industry. And being able to come on and build this platform with them, talk to industry thought leaders, people like yourself, and give people a platform, engage and advance the entire industry as a community was near and dear to us. So, obviously everybody tries to find their little piece of real estate to have an impact. Your story kind of touches me a little bit from the perspective of my business partner and I also co-founded an education-focused foundation for young minds that don't necessarily have the same opportunities as others. And so, everybody kind of touches where they feel like they can have the greatest impact. But certainly your story was incredible and is incredible. So let's continue the dialogue. And like I said, let's keep talking. This is fantastic. Congratulations.
Very good. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Tej. Thank you, Steve.
Robert, it's been
Thank
a real
you.
pleasure. I'm sure there will be many more conversations.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for this episode of Trees and Lines, brought to you by Iapetus Holdings. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. If you have any questions or comments on any of our episodes or ideas for topics or guests, we'd love to hear from you. Please contact us at treesandlines@iapetusllc.com. We'll chat with you soon.